low sodium chef. Today we'll be making a chicken soup with a tomato base and white rice. It's a healthy replacement for your standard high salt chicken soup that you may be accustomed to, and it's very easy to make. So it should be a staple if you're on a low sodium diet. So let's get started. So I chose a 5-pound organic chicken, but it doesn't really matter what type of chicken you choose as long as it's approximately 5 pounds. Bigger is better. You can, just be a more flavorful broth and more meat. The most important thing is to make sure it's a low sodium chicken with no salt added. Now moving on to the other ingredients, you'll need 1 lemon, 1 large onion, 2 summer squash for this recipe. You could substitute broccoli if you'd like that better, or you could leave it out. A bunch of parsley. You won't use all of it, so if you have half a bunch in your fridge, you don't need to go out and get more. About 10 medium carrots and 2 stalks of celery. I chose Trader Joe's unsalted plum tomatoes, but you can use any variety of no salt added plum tomatoes or any sort of tomatoes, even fresh tomatoes if you can't find them. I have 1 cup of long grain white rice. Don't use the minute rice, just use the regular white rice. This is a salt-free bouillon chicken broth. I use 1 packet. It's a potassium salt rather than a sodium salt, so there's no sodium in it, but you got to be careful because you don't want to have too much potassium either. I have 3 bay leaves and some fresh ground pepper, and the last thing would be a safe knife, like a chopping knife, and a cutting board, and make sure it is secure so you don't cut yourself, because you will be doing some chopping. And you're also going to need 1 bag of frozen corn. Here's some quick shots of how I chop the vegetables. You can do it pretty freely. It doesn't have to be perfect, but yeah, everything will be set aside to go into the soup, and you can save the ends and throw them in for the broth. And the lemon zest goes in the rice, but everything else is set aside until we're ready to make the soup. Let's go take a look at the chicken, which is cooking in the pot. Now the chicken's in the pot. It's been in here for about 45 minutes at a slow rolling boil around 3 or 4. It takes about 45 minutes, and you want to flip it on each side so it cooks evenly. The rice, you want to cook to your rice's instructions on the bag. I threw the tablespoon of lemon zest in the rice and the water, so now our rice is cooked and just sits on the side and waits till we actually put the soup together. The vegetable ends and the chicken have been removed from the broth, and the chicken is sitting in the fridge, cooling so we can clean it when it's ready. So now I'm going to add the low sodium chicken broth. Once again, this is the potassium chloride chicken flavored broth. It's good, but just don't add too much. Now I'm going to add the veggies, including the parsley, the onions, the summer squash, and the chopped carrots. And these will all sit in the broth. I'll stir this up, and everything once it's added will sit for another half hour, 45 minutes to make everything tender. Now I put the tomatoes in the blender, and now I have 2 cups of pureed tomatoes. I'm now adding that to the broth. I've cut the lemons in half, or the lemon, and I'm squeezing it through a sieve to catch any seeds. And I drop half the lemon in the broth, but only leave it in there for about 2 minutes just so it catches all the flavor. Make sure you remove it. Now I'm going to add 1 cup of frozen corn into the soup. Now I've stirred all the ingredients, and I'm going to put the lid on the pot. Now I'm going to move on to cleaning the chicken while this sits at 4 or 5 for the next 20 minutes or so. So now that the chicken's cool, we're going to clean it and just take all the white and dark meat off the chicken and separate it and pick it into small pieces and set it aside so we can throw it in the soup.